1st of November, so that some commissions will be rolled out immediately. So that at the moment there's a working party established in the 13 different areas. So some will be in a position whereby they'll be up and going probably by February next year. So that obviously the staff have to be employed. So at a legal level it won't make any difference because it's not affecting the competition as such. So that ultimately we would hope that within 18 months to 2 years that the 13 commissions would be up and running. But in the short term, I don't think it's the case that we'll have 13 by the 1st of November.
Can I just add to that? I mean, there's working parties in all of the region, 8 major regions at least, and some of the smaller ones as well. These guys have been working with them. Feel free to comment, Steve. And some of those, I mean, they're all very positive in their approach to this, is our view, what they've been saying. But some are more advanced, sometimes just because they've got more of the structure in place already that lets them build on that structure to get to where we want to get. Others are starting with a blank canvas. Gippsland's a good example of a blank canvas, very positive but very disjointed in terms of having any structure or collaboration at the moment, whereas obviously Geelong and Ballarat have major structures in place and it's relatively more easy for them to build on. Bendigo, I understand you've got a basis of an administration hub here. That's working very well. That's a start, but there's a very positive attitude here. When they're ready to go, I'm not really sure of, but there's nothing magical about the 1st of November to be up and running. We just want to get it up and running as soon as possible. And when that commitment's made and the chairmen are appointed and the commission's in place, then we'll be advertising for general managers, and then we'll be, once that person's in place, we'll be hiring the staff. So that whole thing will be a progression. And to be frank, I think leagues are probably thinking about the 2013 season now, so the influence is going to be beyond that in longer term.
I'm sorry. So what's the role of this creation of a new community football board? What will they be doing?
Well, that was a suggestion put to us by Nicholas and his board initially, and it wasn't part of the review. But we embraced that recommendation wholeheartedly, and the more I thought about it, the more I absolutely became convinced it's a very valuable board to have in place. It's not a country football community board, it's a community football board. So it'll take into account both metropolitan community footy and country community footy, because we don't have a representative organisation talking to us about at operational management level about what's best for community footy. So its role is to take over the main appeals and processes that now are administered, ultimately take over, now administered by various metropolitan. AFL Victoria has that role, the metropolitan areas, the VCFL board has that role in the country Victoria area, but also to recommend strategies for us to consider and lobby the best interests of community football to us. I think that would be a very valuable asset for community football to have.
When you say appeals there, do you clarify, is that like as in tribunal appeals that would normally go to the VCFL board would go to that?
Yeah, ultimately, not traditionally, but ultimately that would be, and metropolitan appeals as well. Transfer of clubs where they...
In theory there, Ros, where the issues can't be sorted out at that regional commission and they would then refer to the community board.
What sort of effects will it have on local footy players and how will it help them play footy?
I think the best way to answer that is actually talk to the resources and the football development managers working with the clubs, and from an organisational point of view, in many cases we've been reactive to issues over the last sort of 10 or 20 years. Having the football development managers actually being able to work with the clubs directly, we start to see more proactive measures being put into the football clubs which will have a flow effect to the players.
How important is it to get more local numbers up footy-wise?
Well, it's extremely important. We want as many people as we possibly can participate in the game of Australian rules football. So, whether that's coming out of schools or Auskick, there's never really been a great transition from the two organisations, and through that integrated structure of having the two together, I think we'll start to see a flow-on effect of having that cradle to the grave mentality where a player can be dealt with by the one organisation from the first day they have a kick or the first day they blow the whistle right through to the time they want to retire.
We need all levels of government. That's federal, state and local investing their sport and recreation strategy into football and netball. That's what we need. I don't think they're doing that necessarily at the moment. There's councils in particular who are disillusioned by football's relationship with them. It's too operational, it's not strategic. If we're going to get those funds invested, we'll only do it if we can demonstrate participation, because the state government's policy is participation in any various sporting activity. We need to make sure it's football and netball. So we need to become very professional organisation at all levels, and that goes to the heart of the recommendations. We can't do that from a head office structure. We can only do that from a regional structure.
Peter, this to me is getting closer to a marriage with the AFL, if you like, and setting up regional commissions takes us back to the zoning days. I note in the report that you're keen to see the pathway develop from kick through. One thing that is missing is the appearance of key AFL players in country areas. The kids of today don't know them and don't see them. Can this be brought back with the Melbourne-based clubs being linked like a zoning abuse got by?
I don't know that we'll go back to zoning, because one of the, and I'm out of my depth here because I'm not an AFL employee, but you know, the AFL's been moving over the years to get away from any compromised draft. They re-compromised themselves recently with the Gold Coast and Western Sydney, but the intent is to have a completely uncompromised draft. So if you go back to zones, and I think that does link in with what you say. Grant, being General Manager of AFL Victoria, is also responsible for the VFL. We're developing strategy for that. We bought some time for 2 or 3 years to work out what we should be doing with that competition for the next 15 to 20 years. And certainly part of that is to probably get more games in country Victoria to appease that problem. If clubs were smart, though, they would be trying to develop their own marketplaces anyway and grow their supporter base, but I doubt whether it will happen through zoning. I wouldn't read into this as a prelude to go back to zoning.
Do clubs and leagues have to affiliate with the new regional commission, or can they just affiliate with themselves?
Well, at the end of the day, they can, but these resources will be made available to those that affiliate. Having said that, it doesn't mean on day one. If a league needs some time to sort itself through, and we understand that and we respect that, but these resources are being made available on the basis of this structure being adopted.
What will be the main benefits for clubs in particular as a result of the changes?
Well, I think we sort of touched on that earlier, having the ability to have 26 football development managers work with them. Currently we've got our area manager program that Nicholas touched on. They deal with about 180 affiliates. So it really gets people actually being able to work with clubs in that proactive fashion. That hasn't been the case in many instances. And we want to remove ourselves from being an organisation that's dealing with, in many cases, reactive issues. So that's going to be the real change. I actually see people more often, and I know those people will be locally working with.
I think longer term, if we grow the participation and maximise the player pathways through the hospital juniors to youth to seniors, then ultimately you'll have more security in your play. I mean, if you go around the country Victoria like Jim and I did for all that time and talk to leagues and clubs about what the issues are, there's so many discussions about, well, Club X had an under-18 side last year and can't field one, they dropped out of the under-18s, or, you know, we've got 45-year-old blokes that look like Stephen playing in the reserves. I must be 50, but 10 years on it. I didn't actually separate the two issues.
He's talking about your waist.
And that's not necessarily a great thing for football, but they're doing it because they want to keep a reserve side. So we've got to grow the participation. So if we've got more staff out there, you know, on average working with 30 affiliates instead of 180, and we won't do this overnight. You won't see a sudden landscape change in 12 months. But if after 5 years the pathways effective, you're getting more people coming through. The clubs are going to be more sustainable because there are going to be more kids wanting to keep playing footy. And I think that's really the issue at the end of the day.
What's the funding arrangement? You mentioned AFL Gigs providing some money.
Well, the total cost of the new resources is estimated to be $1.8 million per annum when they're fully employed, when all the regions are up and running. That's going to come in part from efficiencies gained by the two organisations being smarter how they work together, which these two guys are addressing, and I'll let them talk about the detail of that if you want them to. And the other bit is extra funding that's going to have to be put in by the AFL, which the two Andrews, Demetrio and Dylan, signed a letter to Nicholas's board stating that they would meet any gap in that funding. And we know there will be a gap, so over that 5-year period.
So there's no set amount, it's just you've committed to.
As required, yeah. And probably worth mentioning also, it's not in any of these statements anywhere, that this initial term of this exercise is 5 years. All the current leagues have a 1-year affiliation with the VCFL, and we've decided we want to be fair dinkum about this and give some reassurance to all the leagues that we weren't going to put this up in 1 or 2 years and then get them to all sign up and then rush off and take it over and do it the way we wanted to. So we've committed in all the affiliation agreements that leagues will be signing with their regional commissions, and the commission with AFL Victoria is for a 5-year period. And there is an attachment in that agreement which commits those additional resources that we're saying we'll put in for that 5-year period. So it's not 1 or 2 years, it's 5 years. After that, it's automatically renewed on 2 years if both parties want that to happen. Now, if the whole thing goes pear-shaped in 5 years and this looked like it was the dumbest thing ever suggested, well, everyone can go back to doing what they were doing. But we've got to give it 5 years to make it work. We can't make this work in 1 or 2 years.
That's one thing. Where's the netball fitting with this? Any P&A that had any input or most of the leagues are all clubs that affiliate with netball?
Netball has been a part of the steering committee process throughout, and originally through Russell Jones, the acting chief executive officer, and more recently Eloise Payne. So right throughout the process, netball has been involved. As an organisation, they're obviously going through their own review at the moment, and they're soon to announce some recommendations out of their own review. And obviously, we as a footballing body don't have any ability to determine what netball should be doing. They do run their own sport. It's up to them to make their own decisions. So we're more than happy to work with netball on this. But we certainly see all of our leagues and clubs continuing to have that relationship between football and netball. It's vitally important.
Are they going to have input from the regional commissions?
I think we've designed those regional commissions to have some input from netball if they so desire. Yes.
There is a commitment by netball in their own review that they know they've got to decentralise some of their own resources. We're on the record with them as saying they'd be delighted if those resources work within our commission structure, not for us but with us, and represented on that commission level.
Do we anticipate any job losses as a result of that streamlining process? As a result of that streamlining process that you go through, or people maybe needing to relocate to going for less of a development syndrome?
One of the obvious immediate things for us is that Stephen has started from 20, sits 40 metres up the corridor, now starting 35. There's some immediate efficiencies that we can have at an operational management level, absolutely. And that's part of the great opportunity we have as joint organisations. To what we're talking about happening on the 1st November is an integration of those resources. So the efficiencies will come, but we will hope to build the capacity as the regional commissions come online, and build the capacity of those regional commissions as an own entity will build. And then as a result, our head office will be more about strategy, leadership and direction, and those regional commissions, and certainly the staff that will be more about delivery and supporting for them. Stephen's consulted his staff over the last 6 to 8 months as to how this could impact VCFL staff, and we've done the same way. We've made it very clear to our regional development managers who will become football development managers and have a different job responsibility, but that whilst their job will be different, it will be their job.
Peter Lake at Newbridge Footy Club, you talked a lot, Nicholas, about players, and you've all talked about players and getting players through the system. I'm an administrator, and the end of every season I'm worn out. It's fair to, I mean, I'm just being honest about it. We have a lot of pressure on us. Is the new structure going to help administrators?
Well, with the implementation of the additional staff, that we believe that they would be in a position to assist you with what you do, and also with the general running of the league, that's going to be, we hope, on a much more streamlined basis as a result of the commission. I mean, we appreciate that volunteers are a problem everywhere, and that in some areas it's a chronic problem, and in other areas it's not quite as serious. But I mean, on one view of it, I mean, some it's a population problem too, because of the population's ageing, the population's moving because they can't obtain employment. But as Stephen said a number of times, that instead of being reactive, that we can assist, and that's what we hope to do. So if you've got a problem, you can ring someone, and instead of having to wait a week or 2 weeks for him to be there, he can be there that day. So that hopefully will be the great advantage to you. And then, as a result of that, with the increase in participation, we hope that more people would perhaps come back to football, and more people would become involved in football administration, whereas at the moment a lot of people perceive it as just being an enormous burden. They're not prepared to take it on because it's just too difficult and too time consuming.
Can I add to that? The report that we put out talked about both volunteers and umpires as well, and I put umpires in the same category.
Not the administration, don't do that.
The recruitment and development of both volunteers and umpires is a problem for football generally. We've got to be more proactive. We've got to start building programs to develop people. We've got to try and develop volunteers in the role. And it'd be great if younger volunteers, for example, felt they got something out of their time volunteering, like an accreditation or some form or another. We have the capacity within the AFL family to do that because we've got training organisations. We can do all those sort of things, and we need to become far more proactive to do that. I hope we do over the next 3 years or so. Not hoping we really have to. Otherwise, the whole thing's going to fall over.
No other questions?
Thanks, guys. You'll have a chance to grab you guys individually if you like afterwards.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
There you go.